If you are like producer Chris, you are still very unhappy and frustrated with the way the Alabama-Texas game went in Week 2, but you want the Crimson Tide to win in Week 3. So take out those frustrations on the like button right now. Coming up on today's edition of the Alabama Football Report, Greg McElroy has chimed in on if the dynasty is dead for Alabama. The headlines might not actually match, by the way, what he actually said, if you've seen those. Nick Saban chiming in on the outside criticism his team is facing, and more conversation on the still looming large quarterback battle. First, what McElroy, the former Bama quarterback, said when asked, "Is the dynasty over?" Depends a little bit, Greg McElroy said, on how you define a dynasty. I always define a dynasty with complete dominance over the competition, almost always, and I think that those days have definitely gone by the wayside. To say that the dynasty is over, yeah, I think the run of dominance in which they destroy every opponent is done. But that doesn't mean that I don't think they can't win a championship. I still think they can. Now, if we're basing it on that definition that McElroy gave, I would agree. Alabama has not been overly dominant as of late. They have not been the consensus, we're beating you, blowout 11 out of 12 games, maybe there's a couple close games, whatever. We're the undisputed favorites every single year for a national championship. That's not how it's working anymore for the Crimson Tide. You can even argue this is the most parity we've seen in college football in the Nick Saban era outside of maybe that first season. As we've seen as of late, Bama's lost more games than they normally have. But McElroy's also right. That doesn't mean they can't win another national championship this year or another national championship next year or 2 years or whatever. Not like Alabama's dead. It's not like this is the really, really bad era for Alabama football. It's not like they're suddenly Auburn or something. We're like, they're just not that good of a football team. They will catch strays from me. That's not where we're at. But the peak is not what it once was. So be honest with me. Let's base it on that same definition so we're all operating in the same area here. Is the Bama dynasty over? Y for yes, N for no. Go vote for me in the comment section at the pinned comment right now. If that ad comes here on YouTube, take advantage of it. Head down there, go vote. Y for yes, N for no. Let's move to what Nick Saban had to say recently. Many former Alabama players, plus media in general, have been outspoken about the Crimson Tide's loss against Texas and the overall performance. Here's what Saban said about some of the outside criticism this team is facing. What somebody else thinks really doesn't matter. It's all about what you do and how you respond to it. We didn't play great, so people get upset that we get criticized. But why wouldn't we get criticized if we didn't play well? I mean, people call me and say, "Hey, man, this guy's a jerk for saying this about you." No, he really isn't. It's right. We didn't play good. I am responsible for that. That's something that we've been talking about all week. Players have responded pretty well to it. I think the preparation has gone fairly well. So we just got to keep these guys focused on what they need to do. Obviously, the standard comes from here. Motivation comes from out there. And we would like for everybody to have pride in their performance, so their standard is something that's important to them, and they're willing to do things to invest in their future that they need to do so they can be the best players that they can be. Now, in general, I am glad Nick Saban's taking responsibility. By the way, the last part of that quote, talking about having pride in their performance, I would be willing to bet a similar message was conveyed to certain players, like maybe Amari Niblack, who went live on Instagram, as we discussed on yesterday's show, after the game, which is just a really bad look and not exactly a prideful moment there. Could be viewed as a little bit weird that he's quick to dismiss former players' opinions, since after all, those guys built the standard. But he's also kind of defending the players too, or whoever's giving criticism of, hey, you know what? We're not the only ones who we didn't play well. We're deserving of it too. So I think it all boils down to the trying to block out the noise argument from Nick Saban, which is something that can typically be pretty effective when it's coming from the greatest college football coach ever. Now, in theory, Bama should bounce back significantly this week against South Florida. So predict the score for me in the comment section right now of Alabama against USF. Get those votes in, and maybe put your money where your mouth is as well by heading over to BetUS, chatsports.com/TideBet, and using promo code TIDE125 for a 125% deposit bonus. That's chatsports.com/TideBet, promo code TIDE125. $100 down minimum gives you the deposit bonus. Chatsports.com/TideBet, promo code TIDE125. Bama's a 32.5-point favorite. There is no money line bet available because it is too large of a spread. Vegas and the bookies don't like doing that. But I do have a can't-lose parlay of the week. It hit last week. It almost didn't. Thank you, Oregon. Thank you, Utah. And thank you, UNC, for surviving. 5 games this week. Wisconsin over Georgia Southern. Penn State over Illinois, the one that worries me the most, by the way. Duke over Northwestern. Washington over Michigan State. I wouldn't have taken that normally, but Mel Tucker's in trouble. And Ole Miss over Georgia Tech. You can take my bet or fade me if you disagree. Chatsports.com/TideBet, promo code TIDE125. Let's move now to the quarterback situation and the discussion, the criticism, etc. Jalen Milroe does deserve criticism for his play. It is perfectly correct, reasonable, understandable to be upset with the way the quarterback played against Texas. The interceptions, they can't happen. It was a big talking point from Nick Saban all preseason. Can't turn the football over. Milroe did that. But he does need some help as well, not just from his supporting cast. I would argue from the coaching staff as well. The pocket cannot collapse that easily. It is very tough to have success, especially in college football, if your O-line is bad. You can dance around, make plays with your feet. Sure, you're not going to be able to do that down in and down out. And I think the play calling has to help him out as well. You need to run an offense. If Jalen Milroe's your guy this year, you need to run an offense that maximizes his ability. Run the Jalen Hurts offense. Run the Lamar Jackson offense. Get those read options, those RPOs, whatever. Get the offense in a situation where it's maximizing your quarterback. It might be a different offense for Ty Simpson. It might be a different offense for Tyler Buckner. That's fine. Those guys aren't your starter right now. It is Jalen Milroe. So why aren't you maximizing him? Stop trying to make him Bryce Young. The offense is different, or Tua, or Mac Jones, or whatever quarterback you want to put in there. You have to be able to make his weaknesses look better and his strengths look even better. Otherwise, frankly, you're failing your job as a coaching staff and as a play caller. A lot more on this to come. But what is your confidence level here in Jalen Milroe? Scale it for me from 1 to 10. 1 on the low end, 10 on the high end. So go vote how you're feeling confidence-wise in Jalen Milroe. Now, Tyler Buckner will play in this game. Even if it's in blowout garbage time, I would expect to see Buckner out there. And frankly, although it might look bad, you need to let him loose a little bit. You need to let Tyler Buckner get reps in. Those are too important. If they put up 70, so be it. I believe it was Lou Holtz having a conversation with, I think it was Bobby Bowden. Bowden kind of ramped the score against him, if I remember correctly. And he's like, why did you ramp the score? And I think it was Bowden responded with, it's not my job to stop my offense from scoring. That's your job. That needs to be the mindset here. You need to let Tyler Buckner, or even throw some Ty Simpson in there too, score some. Can't just be we ran our offense with Milroe, then we grounded the clock out with Buckner. I need to see what your other options are capable of. We didn't see it against Texas, but you know what can't happen? Can't have Milroe looking great against lesser competition, and then as the season goes on and Alabama gets to week 4 and week 5 and week 6, and let's say they're struggling against Ole Miss, a ranked team. You don't know what you have in Buckner. Can't have that be the case. So if you want Bama to put up a 70 burger on South Florida and look dominant this upcoming week, then subscribe. Producer Chris will once again have a post-game instant reaction for you guys, so don't miss out. Hit that sub button right now to put some good vibes out there for the Crimson Tide football team.